It's time for the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by nestbedding.com. Love where you sleep for all your bedding needs, your mattress, your sheets, your pillows. They have a location in the Bay Area, but you go to nestbedding.com. Mark Kotsay from Chicago, how are you?
I'm doing well. Townie, how are you, buddy?
I am doing well, and I was filling out my scorebook, and I realized all of a sudden you got the same lineup as you did yesterday. Am I seeing that correctly?
That's great. Way to start it off. Mike Aldretti came in and he said, "Hey, what are we doing here today?" I mean, we thought we were on track to go 161 of 162 with different lineups. So we do have the same lineup, and looking forward to these guys going out and hopefully repeating the performance that they were able to have last night.
What is that process like every single day when you put the lineup together and it's always different versus traditionally you like to have the same guys in the same spot? Just take us through that thought process.
Yeah, I think with the roster versatility and, obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into it. The youth that's on the roster, the veterans that are on the roster, trying to balance what we would say, getting these young guys the experience and also mixing in the veteran guys so that, they provide that leadership and, that foundation. So, each day is different. Each day presents its own challenges. Each starting pitcher is different from day to day in terms of how they align with different swings. And, obviously it's a collaboration of our hitting coaches, myself, talking through what we feel each individual guy has, the opportunity to have the most success against. And then, you look at the guys that aren't in the lineup and you try to evaluate how long they've sat for. I'm of the mindset, to mix these guys in and to keep them fresh and to utilize the roster so that everybody feels a part of it. And I feel like that's the best way that, in terms of a team that you can, keep guys engaged, keep them fresh. If you look at our pinch hit numbers, guys coming off the bench right now are performing. And we're in several categories, at the top of the list with performance from that standpoint.
That's something to be proud of because that means your guys are engaged. They're engaged the entire game. It's not like you're looking around going, hey, we want so-and-so to pitch hit, and they're up there playing cards and playing video games. I mean, the fact that your guys are coming ready at all times, it's, 2 hours, 40 minutes, 3 hours, whatever it is, and you guys lead and pinch hits. Wouldn't you say that is something to be proud of?
Yeah, I think so. And, the way that the game has changed in terms of starting pitching. You've seen several teams, use openers or use bulk guys, I mean, us included. But really, to play matchups and the more and more we get into this, you're seeing, that change and that process. You look at the Giants, the way they utilize their pitching against us for those 4-game series, outside of, maybe 2 guys in their rotation. They've opened for most of, or the other 3. So really keeping them engaged and getting them opportunities to have success really is what I look at each and every day.
All the talk obviously is Gelof. We'll get into that. I want to bring up Shea Langeliers. I talked to them the other day, and the confidence is changing. You're seeing something different. The numbers show it. Last 5 games, hitting 353, 4 home runs. He's hitting the ball hard. He's seeing it. He's got good rhythm to his swing. Something's happening here at the very end. What are you seeing with your catcher?
Well, it's what we want to see happen, right, Townie? We want him to progress. We want him to finish on a strong note and show that this incremental progress is happening and going, through the end of the season and building off of that confidence level that we're hopeful of going into next year. And I talked a lot about this, and I continue to compare him to Sean Murphy his first full season because I think there's a lot of similarities. Sean struggled offensively. If you look at Sean's numbers, not to say that Shea's are in line, but I think they're pretty close, and maybe they will be in line at the end of the season. The way Shea's swinging the bat right now. So he's worked hard. again, I alluded to this at the beginning of the year, the challenges that he was going to face, having only caught 25 games in the big leagues, and wanting to be great on the defensive side and learning that position and all that it entails, really. And from the scouting reports to the in-game management of our pitching staff to then going up and going to hit. So I think he's trending in the right direction right now.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, the most home runs Murph ever hit was last year at 18. He's at 15 with, a lot of games to go, really. And you talked about how important it is for these guys to finish strong, and that's something you like to see. And for Zack Gelof, I mean, just the numbers in August, 346, 7 home runs, 13 RBIs. We can go through all of that at 1,100 OPS. There's something about leadership qualities you're starting to see. There's something that we like to call the it factor. Some guys have it, some guys don't. Some guys have feel for the game. Some guys have a rhythm to the game. Just beyond the numbers, what are you seeing in the clubhouse? What do you see on the plane? What do you see on the bus? How do you see in the interaction? What kind of guy is Zack Gelof, and what kind of leadership qualities does he have?
In terms of a guy, he's a great guy. We can laugh, we can joke, but yeah, we can be serious in conversations. And I think this young man has been impressive since he stepped foot in our clubhouse. He was impressive in spring training with his mindset, his confidence. But in terms of how he handles himself and whether he becomes this leader of this club, he's going about it the right way. He's asking the right questions. He's surrounding himself, with the right guys, and really, truly, just he's a worker. He comes in here, prepares every day. Today, coming off last night's game, it was 100 degrees. It was 65, 70% humidity. It was hot last night. It was a grind. It was like playing in the sauna, and these guys were gassed. We gave them a break today, keeping them out off the field, and all Zack wants to do is go out and get some work in because it's part of his routine. So, that says a lot about his character and about the way he, pushes himself and the level that he expects to be at. And, Tony, I mean, Witt is a great player, and Witt's probably the American League Rookie of the Year. It would have been fun, had Zack got here a little bit earlier to see these two on a parallel path, because what Zack's accomplished since he's been here is pretty incredible.
Yeah, Witt's a decent little player, isn't he?
He is.
I mean, my God, that guy. Very, very impressive. When I think about coaching, a lot of the great coaches, they're not going to be guys that played at the big league level. A lot of the great coaches never played in the NFL or the NBA. A lot of great coaches, one of the things, they are great communicators, they're great teachers. And with all that being said, there is something about having guys on your staff like yourself who have played in the big leagues so that you can talk to a Butler or a Gelof about what it's like to be at this level. Talk about how not all great coaches, like I said, have to play at the highest level, but isn't it important to have some guys around that the players can talk about the experiences?
Yeah, as long as the players are old enough to know who you are or what you did.
Come on, we're not that old.
It helps to be able to share experiences for sure. The 17-year career that I went through, Mike Aldretti, 10+ year career that he went through. We are able to share those experiences in a way that may be different from someone that hasn't. Performed at this level, been on the field under the big lights, played on in a stadium with the third level, the upper deck, and things do change, and mindsets are, somewhat hard to kind of communicate. But yet, if you've been through those experiences, I think they're more apt to listen to you and open up and ask more questions, be more engaged. And last night, Lawrence Butler came in, walked in the office post-game. He's like, Kotz, I should have had that ball Benintendi hit in front of me. I'm like, did you have the right read? What was your first step? He's like, I broke, and then I didn't think it was going to stay up that long. It's like, hey, that's understandable. I mean, I've been in your shoes. If you come and you charge and you dive for that ball, it goes by you. Now it's a triple, So granted, there's 2 outs, and yeah, it would have been a great play, but you played it the way you felt most confident in, and that's the right mindset. So what's great about that conversation was that he came in and wanted to talk about it.
I guess we are not that far away where the players are going to come in and ask you what it was like to ride on trains and only play day games. Wool uniforms. There are those wool uniforms, and
oh boy,
you guys used to sharpen your spikes before the game, right? Didn't that happen back in the day?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. That's right. When we made the opening to your show, talked about this show talks about everything from humidors, and I was like, oh, are we going to talk about cigars today? Wow, we got humidors.
I am willing. I am willing because I wouldn't mind finding a cigar sponsor for us, as you and I are both big cigar guys. That might be a good. I'm always worried about what I'm willing to sell. I mean, I'll sell anything for God's sakes. I'm always worried about what the organization is going to go. Hey, Ruiz, what's the plan with him? Do you think the rest of the way of how much he's going to play in center, how much he's going to play left, right? How much he's going to lead off? What is your plan the rest of the way with him?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's one I'm going to communicate to Ruiz in terms of, right now against this right-handed run that we've got. I'm going to try to find him, the best matchups available. He's been scuffling offensively, not just against righties, but I think for the last couple of weeks been scuffling, and we're working on getting him a little bit more upright, getting him more direct to the baseball. That's a process here, and change isn't easy. You're going to experience some failure, but you've got to stick with it and believe in it. And I think for SD, he's going to be in the lineup. It's as I said, a challenge at this point, because performance does matter, and there are guys that are swinging the bat well. Lawrence has been swinging the bat well. Tony Kemp, 2 hits last night, a double and a homer. Brownie's been swinging well. So, and obviously Rooker's been on a run right now for the last 7-10 days. So, performance is kind of dictating that as well. And we'll do our best to give him as many opportunities going forward as we can.
Yeah, quickly, I want to get to Chicago real quick. But yes, Rooker, it's great to see, that first half was phenomenal. It's really good to see him starting to show those signs again.
Yeah, the confidence is coming back, and the at-bats have been great. Last night he should have had – literally he missed the first pitch of the game that he flew out on. He could have easily had 3 homers last night, but he made sure of the second homer because Robert made a great play on the ball to dead center. That's one of the better defensive plays I've seen all year.
Let's end on this, because I realize with a lot of our young staff, when you talk about Chicago, they're like, I haven't been. So if they're going to go east, they usually go to the East Coast. They don't go to the Midwest. Chicago, to me, is one of the great cities in our country. I absolutely love Chicago. It's the big city with the nice Midwest people is the best way to explain it. You got a time to play in Chicago for the Chicago White Sox. How was your time, and what do you think about Chicago?
No, I love Chicago, and I think you're right. It combines East and West because there's some East Coast culture here, and then there's a ton of West Coast culture as well. Like if you wanted to take New York City and take parts of New York City out of there and bring, parts of San Fran or LA and dump it in, I think that's kind of the culmination of Chicago. You got a beautiful lake shore. It's the weather outside of, a couple months is pretty nice. It's not the East Coast grind or grit, but my time here, and I got here in late August of 2009, and spent all year in 10. Had a great time. From ownership to the fans. The fans are as blue collar as they get. And you got to appreciate the way they see the game and the way they support their team. It's pretty awesome.
I'm going to start working on a cigar sponsor right now, by the way. I have a cigar store not far from my house. I'm going to work on something for us for the 2024 season.
All right, Tony. And there's no chance you'd be able to get Upman to sponsor us, but I mean, this is one of the finest ones. Any chance you reach out to Padron and can get them on the line, you'd be a hero.
Anything is possible. By the way, I love the idea of you playing spoiler here in the second half, and it really starts the minute you touch down in Seattle. You got a great chance to play spoiler.
Yeah, we really do. And, I mean, we want to kind of, like I talked about in St. Louis, establish an identity, play competitively. And, we'll have 18 games in our division against Seattle, Texas, and Houston, and also Anaheim. It'll be fun. It's going to be fun to see how we stack up against these highly competitive playoff contending teams.
Great stuff. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and the Pacific Northwest, and we'll see you back at the Coliseum.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
The Mark Kotsay Show right here on A's Cast Live and A's Cast, brought to you by Nest Bedding. Love where you sleep. Go to nestbedding.com. They got a location in the Bay Area, but you go to Nest Bedding for your mattress, the mattress that Mark Kotsay and his entire family sleep on. Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Ricky Henderson's a good friend of Nest Bedding. But you go to nestbedding.com for your bed, your pillows, your sheets. They got everything you need. They are the sponsor of the Mark Kotsay Show